This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
It's Chaz, and we really want to be your friends. We hope our good times never end. It's Mozz, it's Chaz, and we really want to be your friends. Welcome back to the AKA JonesCast. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz, once again to tonight's episode, Season 3, Episode 7, AKA the Double Half-Wappinger. Anyway, Jessica and Triss go on a road trip to dig into Salinger's past and unearth a horrifying discovery. Larry Tang is our director this week. Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos, of course, get our Marvel credits for this. And then, of course, we've got our written by Nancy Wan, created by Melissa Rosenberg, Jay Holtham and Jamie King promoted to story editor this week, along with Jay Holthman and our staff writer, I hate to take it away from Jamie King, but he's an executive now, you know. Actually, no, I'm sorry, he's just a regular story editor. Oh, they got two story editors and a staff writer, who is Jesse Harris. I thought he was an executive story editor. He's just a regular story editor still, and they gave him an extra story editor in Jay Holtham because of all the hard work they're doing. And then they got an extra staff writer in there. And Nancy Wan gets that written by credit, even though there's another staff writer doing a lot of writing too. So who knows who's doing what this week? A
lot of hands on deck.
A lot of hands on deck. Well, you know, hey, here's what I'll say. It shows. Yeah, it shows because this is such a well-written show.
Indeed.
I mean, it is, and really, I gotta tell you, these next two episodes are such a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Just an insane roller coaster. Everyone's, and yeah, we're only at episode, 7 here?
Yeah.
I mean, we are halfway through, but man, things are just ratcheting up. We're opening up, of course, with, we see Jaren Hogarth has made the choice to defend Salinger. I don't know, Lord level working man, but I do not know what's going through her head here. Because it's not like she doesn't know who she's dealing with. You know?
But I think she's just desperate. She just wants to protect her legacy. And it's almost kind of weird in a certain way where she just wants to create all this, craziness and this uncertainty and then just go and die.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is she going to get out of it? She's going to create so much chaos and then just be like, I'm out,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's,
deal with that.
It's like the people burning the rainforest right now, It's just like, we only got 50 years left. Why should we bother? So, yeah, it's not cool, but, and I think it's sort of just that idea that she's jumping and she doesn't have a plan because I think almost right away she starts to realize what a mistake this whole thing was,
Right.
Because first off, in the whole press conference at the very beginning where he gets into his man hurt, and then later on when they're talking to him and it's like, oh no, I've completely researched both of you and I know exactly everything about your past before you even contacted me because I am a really crazy serial killer. It's like, it's not even for pretend anymore. It is just, he is a crazy serial killer. And the only way you don't know he's a serial killer is because you just have decided it's not in your best interest to know that he.
Well, no, I think it's like in its saving throes, a caged animal is very, very dangerous. So she doesn't care how she does it anymore. All moral fiber has been torn to shreds. she's just thinking about survival animalistically, so she's willing to do whatever. She knows full well, my point is, she knows full well that he is a serial killer, but she's perfectly fine with it, because if this creates another narrative that she's, able to catapult into returning to full health as far as the business is concerned, she'll do it. Because she did it before, because she wanted to be the one who, her firm was going to be the one that represents all the supers. And now immediately she does it in a bad face when it's convenient to be completely anti-supers. So whatever works is, I think, her thing.
Yeah, but again, it's this question is, does that really work,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that's the thing. It's not so much is it a plan, it's that is it a good plan? Because, the counter argument is that no, she could, go and exonerate Jess and get another serial killer locked up, which I think would maybe even be a bigger plum in her pudding, But
do you think this shows like her weakening mind also in combination with her weakening body? That she was in this situation, everything was going according to plan, and then she saw an opportunity and was not able to fight off the greed and be as disciplined as she normally would, because maybe her mind is deteriorating just as much as her body is.
Well, I mean, you know what it is? She is turning away from the skid, because the whole precipitating fact is her girlfriend's husband kills himself after he's been exposed as a horrid criminal. And then he does his weepy, it's all Jaren Hogarth's and Jessica Jones's fault. All these women with power attacking poor little old me. Which is ridiculous, of course, but he kills himself so there can be no trial. Not for nothing, that was actually Epstein's plan there, is because if you die before the trial, they can't find you guilty. It's a weird little thing, so as a result, you can actually declare yourself innocent by simply offing yourself, which is not cool, but also a bona fide legal strategy for what it's worth.
Interesting. I mean, if there's money that's being held up by legal means, that would not be any longer held up, right?
Well, what it is. Well, I mean, trying to get a hold of a dead man's money is that's not easy, man. Let me tell you that. Yeah, because again, the estate didn't do anything. The estate is an entity. It didn't, just say, oh, well, we're going to punish the estate. Well, you're not punishing the guy anymore, so why are you punishing? He wrote up a will, probably gave a lot of money to various charities. So it's like, oh, you want to take all this money away from charity? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, there is a darkness even in defeat in that kind of a take. But what has happened is that and I forget the guy's name because he's not memorable as a person. But Jaren's girlfriend's husband, who kills himself,
right,
puts her on the defensive. And as anyone knows, when you get into a skid, you're supposed to turn into the skid so that you can regain control.
Right.
You turn into the skid to regain the narrative. She has decided to turn away from the skid, which just causes you to spin. Right. And that is essentially what she's doing. She's turning away from the skid because rather than saying, yes, I support supers because we live in a world with freaking salingers out there who are killing people for and without superheroes and without superheroes to deal with the salingers and the Kilgraves.
That's not to mention the supers, exactly
Kilgraves, and then Jessica's mom, who I always want to say had it going on along the road. I can't help it. Anytime I say someone's mom, it's inherent. I can't say that without saying that they have it going on.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't catch that. I just thought really you were commenting on her attractiveness, and I was like, okay,
well, she's not a bad-looking woman. Not going to argue that. I mean, a little edgy, and not, I mean, there's all the things they say about, being with the ladies a little off kilter, but, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be as funny as you want it to be. But moving right along. Right on down the road. She turns away from the skid, and now she's spinning. Because as soon as she's sitting down, and again, Malcolm knows this, and Malcolm's girlfriend, who, honestly, again, just more proof that she is not right for Malcolm.
Right.
I'm trying to remember her name here. Zaya. the character's name is Zaya Akanjo, played by Tiffany Mack. Just where she's like, well, you can't tell me what to do. I'm telling you not to defend a serial killer. I don't think that's a you can't tell me what to do kind of situation.
Yeah.
In its own way, maybe even doubling down on what is maybe like the worst sexist attitudes about women, and having these women behave in this way. Turning into this kid, just being contrary, just to be contrary. In many ways, maybe even making Salinger's points for him.
Right. He seems to be very good at that.
Yeah, well, clearly the guy knows what he's, though not as much as he'd like to, because of course it's Jessica Mason. He's killed a lot of people, but everyone has their first, and everyone who has their first, gets sloppy.
That's where they make their mistakes.
Exactly. And at first she thinks it's gonna have to be his brother, but then as she digs deeper, it looks like his brother actually did die in a real live tractor overturn, which is a thing. Honestly, farm equipment is insanely dangerous. I remember I was in high school, maybe just out of high school, and there was my nephew went to was kind of a more rural part of Michigan. It was kind of like that suburban rural area. And, so they had, a young farmers club there, which is a very big thing. And they had their little tractor parade. And literally this girl just died, fell off the tractor, got crushed under its wheels.
Good Lord.
Oh yeah, well that's what happens. Tractors they're not parade floats. They are actually, actually being a farmer is like working on a farm, not necessarily being the farmer because that implies ownership, but working on a farm is actually probably one of the most dangerous jobs in America. Yeah, because there's threshers and there's tractors and there's all sorts of, and not to mention, of course, insane amounts of pesticides and things like that.
Right.
There's all sorts of things that will kill you on a farm. That's not even counting the cows, which will absolutely step on you.
Right.
I'm not even talking bulls. Like an actual cow will freaking crush you to death and not think twice, because it is a giant animal with big feet, and that's what they do. So yeah, so they do find out that Salinger's brother probably did die in an accident, but then they dig a little deeper and they realize that Salinger had a friend. A Hispanic friend, interestingly enough, because, man, the white supremacy of Salinger it is subtle, but you can tell he thinks it. He doesn't say it, but
he certainly does something about it.
Well, yeah, but it is literally the fact that he feels, that he got cheated because other people got that basically the scouts were coming for his friend because the friend was Hispanic, and that's the only reason why he's not getting scouts. Although, not for nothing, the scouts are at the exact same match. Doesn't matter who the scout came for.
Did they see you compete?
Exactly. They're going to see you compete too. But of course, why compete when you can cheat? And that is the real truth of a guy like Salinger. Is he doesn't want to compete. He doesn't want to be in a fair fight. He wants to say everyone else is cheating. Well, he cheats himself. Because nothing's more cheating than killing your rival.
Right.
And that is
and it's once you've come to terms with cheating, it's hard not to see it in other people and to see their actions and to give, the logic behind their reason in your mind becomes the reason you would do something. And so if you're comfortable with cheating, to you, everybody's cheating.
Well, of course, and for what it's worth, the guy is just, like I said, he is just a despicable person. And I think they've doubled down on it without a doubt. And there's certainly no way you're going to argue that this man isn't a cruel, criminal, and in many ways, very pathetic kind of character.
Right, but if there's one redeeming quality to him, it's that he's really good at it.
You know,
He's really good at it.
that is a true fact. He is good at what he does, as he says. From the vacuum packed, completely cleaned body parts to the point where you almost wonder, did he just keep the body parts not necessarily as a serial killer, psychosexual thing, but just to have them so that he could baffle someone at some point, Was he just setting this, Batman-esque trap so that, aha, you thought that was it, but no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I do think maybe that is kind of where he's at, where he's like always thinking, how would he catch himself? And then he says, well, that would show me if I caught myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is that is how he's doing it, and we see that even with this first kill, where he does kill his friend, and then finds a way to dispose of the body as part of this big. It makes you wonder, how long was he planning it? Obviously, his friend's family was planning on building this gazebo.
Yeah.
And so he made the choice that, that gazebo's going up. That's where I'm going to hide the body. And, not for nothing. I'm sure building a gazebo, that's not the kind of thing you do on a whim. Yeah. So he had been planning killing his friend for, weeks,
For sure. I believe that.
And then, of course, immediately, and like they say, he was the first one there. Of course he was the first one there. He had to dispose of the body.
Mm.
And that, of course, is exactly what Jessica sees.
What I thought was really cool about the scene was just like a special effects kind of thing. When she punches the ground and the ground gives way, man, that looks so cool, and it looks so real, the power scene, it to be translating right from her fist into the ground and causing that shit. That was really, really well done. It was all sort of practical effects. It wasn't CGI. It looked really, really cool. I thought that was really badass.
It was amazingly well done. But this is an amazingly well done show. I mean, that's the one thing you got to give Netflix is they make good television. Even they're kind of because there are a bunch of very cheesy sitcoms on Netflix right now, and if you like cheesy sitcoms, you will find a good cheesy sitcom for you on Netflix, and they are just ridiculous, but they're well done cheesy little sitcoms. There's one me and my wife were watching last night called Good News. It's a lot of fun. By Tina Fey. But all told, Tina Fey's a powerhouse over there because she's also producing Glow, I believe, which is really good.
Interesting. That's that's the Wrestlers show, right?
Yes. Even Tristan was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch the Wrestlers show." I said, "Yeah, this episode doesn't have a lot of wrestling." She says, "Oh, that sucks." But But yeah, there's a lot of good things still on Netflix, even after we have lost our Jessica Jones. But what was I talking about? The practical effects. I mean, the effects were so fantastic, where you really feel that, and you feel like that's real blacktop. It's at no point does it feel like styrofoam. It feels like, oh wow, that's just a super strong lady who can bust blacktop with her bare hands. And the only thing I would say on that is man, how is she not bulletproof?
Right. It always is a fine line they walk where it turns around where her super strength applies to her body, or does it not? Is it just the willpower that's stronger, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what I always kind of feel like is there's sort of it's when you have the Flash, when he has the Speed Force. I've long felt that has to be that's something that's in all superheroes, just maybe not specifically speed, but you have a heroic force, a strength force, just this thing that when it's applied, you have this insane superhumanity, but when not specifically applied. So, for example, if she punched a bullet, I fully feel she could punch away a bullet.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I think she's been pierced by bullets before, so even if she was punching it, it would go through her wrist.
Well, no, because the idea is that when you're focusing the force, It's like Iron Fist. It's like the chi.
But
So,
is her thing like the chi, or is I mean?
well, I mean, arguably all superheroes are chi. I mean that's sort of that complex question about what gives superheroes powers. And there's a very strong argument you can make that superheroes. Well, yeah, that is Danny Rand's other power is that he's rich. But
Yeah.
for all the good it does Hogarth right now. But
Yeah.
you know, but the idea is that when you're doing an action, when you take an action, just put it in D&D terms, taking that action carries with it certain powers that are secondary to what you're doing. So, like, if you're, and people, and you can read like a dozen cracked articles that all say this exact same thing. It's like, oh, if you actually like lifted a car, it would tear your hands off because, it's like, yeah, but obviously he's just lifting the car. So even though arguably his tendons aren't made of steel, or her tendons aren't made of steel, obviously in that moment they're behaving like they are. So as they say, when you're dealing with science, you don't say it can't be possible because the results don't make sense. You say, well, these are the results. How do we make them make sense? And so, so when Jessica Jones is busting Blacktop with her fists with no scratches on her hands, and that's the real thing. It's like if she'd gotten scratches on her hands, you could say, oh, yeah, she got scratches on her hands, But she's like perfectly clean hands when she's done because it's not really her that's hitting it. It's the force of her superpowers. Her superpower force is what's doing it. It's not just there's always this urge to say, well, there's a scientific explanation. It's like, yeah, but that scientific explanation is it's magic. And that's my take on it, basically. But yeah. But she tears open the thing, and she finds the body, and that's got to be horrifying for that mom. And this is what I gotta say, man. That mom and dad, I love those characters.
Yeah.
Because they were so real. I could absolutely feel everything about them. The mother's standoffishness, distrustfulness, the father's desire to just let's have a bit of normalcy and let's talk about how much I love my son.
And the subtle implication from her, that hey, this is also going to hurt you. She's also trying to protect him by trying to send her away.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure clearly
know how you get, or something like that.
Well, not for nothing, it was pretty clear that neither one of them ever really got over the loss of their son. Because obviously they still have their whole house as a shrine to him. Which, and I get, like I say, I cannot even imagine the trauma. I cannot even imagine the trauma of losing your son in that way. But at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do? It's hard to imagine what you would do in that situation, and their choice was to, essentially never let the moment pass, never let it be a moment without their son.
Yeah. And what a horrible thing to say in that card. Your son will always be with you.
Mm-hmm.
How sadistic is that?
Well, because he's a sadistic jerk, I mean, this is
man, oh man.
It's like not news. This guy is evil, and he was evil at the start. He was, that's the thing. It's like he is in no way the Ubermensch. He looks like an Ubermensch. He's like. And I don't want to compare him because Doctor Doom definitely has some props to carry him forward. But this guy, I still think all of his degrees are fake. I will say that because they never check to see if they're real. I guarantee you, because you see it. I mean, I don't want to talk about the next episode. So, when he gets to his trophy, and it's like literally for most improved.
Right.
It's a participation trophy.
Yeah.
That he's acting like is his, lodestar, or like he said earlier in the thing where he's like, oh, my brother said they just randomly picked the winner. I knew I had really won. It's like, really? How do you know that? How do you know that you really won, or how is it not just that? Yeah, someone picked your name, or maybe everyone got a letter saying you are the winner.
Yeah.
Because why not? Where you paid $5, we published your poem in the anthology. Which, first off, anyone who went to high school with a friend who was a poet, that's the thing. And how proud your friend was when his book came. And
Hmm.
and not to say anything wrong with that. I remember, and my friend was a very good poet, and I loved his work. He was a fantastic writer, still a fantastic writer to this day. But he spent his $5 and he got his poem published in the little book, and then he got his little anthology book so that he could show people that, yeah, I'm a published author. You know, you know, um, and it's great if you're the kind of person who takes it in stride. But if you're a person who goes off killing people because of it, well, then then it's a problem. And that's who this guy is from the start of it. He is
Yeah.
he's his own problem. And she's actually a straight up hero. She's not an anti hero. No, she doesn't call herself a hero, but that's kind of what makes her a hero. The
Yeah,
person
but
who doesn't
yeah,
embrace it is the one who kind of is the true hero.
but I think there's an interesting quality to it. But like, she knows she is one, despite her, desire to not be one and to not take on that responsibility. Despite it all, like with her encounter with, I think the burger dude's name is Adam, right?
I'm sorry, what?
The burger dude, the guy who made the
Oh
burger.
yeah.
His encounter with him, if nothing else, has reinforced that or cemented that in her mind that hey, I am a hero, I am a good person, despite how much I used to think I wasn't. I am.
Well, exactly, and you know what? Not for nothing, as you can say, when you talk about Steve Rogers, and
Yeah.
when Steve Rogers is confronted with it, and like, who are you? He says, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. And
Yeah.
that drives the Red Skull insane, because how can you just be a kid from Brooklyn? We're the Superman. We're meant to rule this world. He's like, no, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn who doesn't like bullies. And that is literally what Jessica Jones is just a kid from South Jersey who doesn't like bullies.
Yeah.
No, she's from Jersey. She lives in New York now, but she's from Jersey, I believe. Yeah, no, he's from Brooklyn, which is part of New York.
It just took me a while to remember that Brooklyn is a part of New York.
Yeah.
Well, they don't get out to the city very much. They're still young, When they're older, they're going to take the path and they're going to explore the city. Maybe they'll go to college in the city. Who knows?
Is Spider-Man?
He's from Queens, which is actually a joke because Brooklyn and Queens have a big rivalry, like Ohio and Michigan. So,
They both have two superheroes.
yeah.
Powers.
Sort of, yeah.
Like Miles Morales has spider powers.
Oh, yeah. Miles Morales also has spider powers. But I actually think Miles Morales might have been raised in. He was raised in Harlem, which is actually part of Manhattan.
Yeah.
So I think it was from Brooklyn.
We might have been from the Bronx. I don't know. I haven't read the actual Miles Morales story in a while. So. Oh, okay. Well, Captain America is from Brooklyn, but yeah, maybe Miles Morales is from Brooklyn. I don't know off the top of my head. We're getting a little off topic here. So yeah, so they do find the body.
One thing that was cool what I thought was cool about that scene, or maybe not that I found it cool, but more like it sort of enraged me. She is such an insufferable human being. That moment where Jessica walks back to the car and the cop finally comes over and says, "Hey, I was wrong," and sort of does her little, tough guy amends, and she says thank you, and she walks away. It burns Trish up on the inside. She cannot handle it. And it's like, man, why can't you just take that, and say, I have a part in that too. I helped, and that compliment is meant towards us. We were a team. Instead, she completely interprets it as, oh, I'm not getting the praise that I feel I should be deserving.
Well, this is the problem with Trish.
It's so infuriating.
Trish has a long way to go, and I don't know if she's going to get there in the episodes we have left,
Yeah, you know what? It keeps seeming to me like she is ripe for the picking to become an evil bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
She is so ripe for the picking. She's displaying all the characteristics that someone displays right before they become a bad guy.
Well, and I'm going to say I don't think you're necessarily wrong, I don't think she will ever think that. Or
Right.
maybe,
Well,
you know.
then she wouldn't be a bad guy.
Well, I mean, if it, for what it's worth, maybe that is sort of what keeps you from ever, sort of in the way that never declaring yourself a hero is what
Hmm.
kind of makes you a hero. Maybe eventually realizing that you've become the monster you most hated is the thing that might save you from ever truly being the villain.
Right. So if you never become a hero, you never open the door to becoming a bad guy. That's really interesting. I like that.
There's a lot of ways you can slice it.
I like that.
But as they say, no matter how you slice it, it's still baloney. And speaking of baloney, we do get a very nice coda to this entire episode that leaves you on such a positive note, I feel. Which is when, of course, they go and, they track down Salinger. And Malcolm is at this one. He's like, yeah, I can't work for this guy. I'm aware of what he is. I don't, I can't have this legalistic, innocent until proven guilty. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not saying John Gotti did this, but we know John Gotti did something.
Right, but I think the perspective from which his girlfriend attacks the argument is very interesting. Her argument is to say that, on a broader sense, the system works. And in order for the system to continue to work, it needs confidence in the system. So we have to go along with it, even if some people occasionally get trampled underfoot. That's a part of the process. But on a broader sense, it makes sense. And that's how I justify it to myself that we've got to do this because we believe in law. And if law lets this happen, then some people need to in order for the law to still exist. And that helps and serves the greatest good.
So let me.
I don't agree with it, but I thought it was an interesting perspective to take. I thought it was a really clever perspective to take.
Let me give you this.
Yeah.
Let me give you this because as an example, that argument is a better argument when it's not from someone wearing a $300 suit. And I've seen that argument made in a lot of legal dramas before. Whether it's, the public defender who says it or the prosecutor who says it, and it's a guy in a $20 suit or a $100 suit because you can't really buy a suit for $20 anymore. But, it's a schlubby person, guy or girl, and he says, look, let me give you this speech, We do this because that's what the law requires. That's what we have to do. We have to prosecute this person or we have to defend this person because no one else is going to do it. And the only way that the system stays sane is if we step up and do it. And the fact of the matter is that when you're a person in that $300 suit and you're making the choice to defend this guy,
right?
Then that sounds a little weak because we all really know you're doing this expressly because it's a profit motive for you. You're not doing this because you believe in the law and justice and you think this guy's case deserves to be properly defended. You're doing it. There was a great HBO thing about the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. I mean, it was a little movie, and the guy who becomes the lawyer for the guy accused of kidnapping the Lindbergh baby, he basically makes a statement to his colleagues because he's this old guy, way too old to be practicing law. It's implied, and he says, of course I'm not going to win the case, but it's just good to go out there and rah, 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 give it the old college try. And you can see that he's doing this just for the publicity, just to say, I was the lawyer on the Lindbergh baby case. And not have you ask the second question, well, which side were you on?
Right.
So, and that is sort of where they're at. It's like, yeah, they're sitting there and they're making their statement about, the goodness of the law and whatnot and what they have to do to keep our world in balance. But that doesn't change the fact that you made a choice to choose this case. And you chose this case not because of the merits of the case, but because Jaren thought this would help her situation personally, because she's turning away from this kid. She's not turning into this kid. She's turning away from this kid and hoping that she can convert herself by hydroplaning, which sometimes happen. You can hydroplane yourself into success. I just don't know if that's the best choice here. But when you get to the scene where Salinger is giving his wrestling demonstration, and
that was wonderful.
It was wonderful, because you do get this real cat and mouse there about, like, well, you can't use your powers,
Yeah.
because it's like, well, you don't know how to wrestle. You can't possibly fight me. First off, you're a girl. If you didn't have super strength, you wouldn't. And honestly, there's an argument you can make that no, she doesn't, because she couldn't. Because yes, as a little woman, she would be dominated by this large man who knows how to fight and is attacking her.
Right.
But that she has power to toss him off is actually something that is earned, and doesn't mean he's better just because he can beat her. It means that there is justice in this universe, and you see that when the kids all start applauding after she body slams him.
Yeah.
And she says, no body slams. I guess I lost," and then puts her foot on his chest to let him know, that he is defeated. Maybe a little premature, and maybe not with thinking of downstream consequences. So, again, with impulse control, we always have that issue with our superheroes. But it is certainly a great way to end, and you feel the cheering of those kids who you kind of realize this teacher was probably a real bully to them.
It's interesting, yeah, because I was thinking to myself, I would never be in class and watch our, teacher get schooled and be happy about it. So he is basically just a glorified gym teacher, thinking like he's a wrestling coach.
Well, he's a volunteer, yeah. Basically, and for what it's worth, like I said, he is, my kids used to take Taekwondo, and because my grandfather, he's got he took Taekwondo, he liked it, but he really felt that the teacher was being too rough with the kids, and he took the kids out. Tristan saying he wants to go back and do some more Taekwondo. So there's a place up the street that does it too.
Nice.
You said you wanted to take more Taekwondo lessons. Yeah, so I need to find a place for you to take Taekwondo where the teacher isn't a bully. So,
maybe even try a jiu-jitsu school. He might like that.
Well, yeah, I think most of these places teach some kind of kung fu, and it's, a mix of hard and soft styles. I think Bruce Lee has had a very strong influence on the American martial arts industry, where I think his style has become indicative of American martial arts. No matter what name they put on it, I think it's always trying to be that liquid.
I think though, in recent years, the Gracie name and with the UFC, it's become more jiu-jitsu centered. People take that sort of to be much more. That and maybe Muay Thai or just regular old boxing are probably the most go-to and reliable actual martial arts that really do work in most situations.
Here's what I'll say. Not to give too much weight to Salinger here, but I actually do think Greco-Roman wrestling is one of the best fighting styles.
Without a doubt.
Because,
that and judo, if you can control where the fight takes place.
Exactly. You go to the floor. And then it's all grapple. Final thoughts on this episode of Jessica Jones.
The one thing we forgot to mention, again, how Trish is a really, really hard character to watch or to like at all. When she calls a paparazzi guy and stages a little, oh my God, that's so cringeworthy.
That is awful. Yes, it is. And it is just her desire to be Spider-Man,
Worst.
It is the worst. But for what it's worth, Spider-Man also, that was Spider-Man, And that is, to my
but he was doing it to feed himself. It wasn't to feed his ego.
No, it was to feed his ego. It was, originally it was because he was an entertainer and he did these TV shows. They
No,
established the whole
no.
idea that he
Okay,
was...
so as I understood it, he got a job as a photographer, couldn't find anything interesting that J. Jonah Jameson would buy, and then he said, you know what? He's been asking people to get pictures of Spider-Man. I'm not getting any pay. Let me grab a picture of me. I'm freaking Spider-Man. Let me do this and make some money.
Well, no, actually what it was... So of course he does the original wrestling show. Then after that he gets an agent. And he starts doing, like, promotional events, goes on the Ed Sullivan Show, things like that, lifts a car, walks up a wall. He's an entertainer. And then Uncle Ben died, and he realizes, oh, I didn't stop the guy who killed him. And then he feels all guilty, and he starts doing the superhero thing. But then he very much falls into this idea of how am I supposed to feed myself. Then it says, hey, I'll give $500 for a picture of Spider-Man. Well, that'll do. And then he does that, but at the same time, he's also thinking about how he could become a supervillain. The actual story of Spider-Man, he gets real dark there, where he's thinking,
Really?
Oh, yeah. The first few issues, he's like, I could break into this. I could, I could steal jewels. I could be a supervillain. What's stopping me? But
No, that's such a interesting and complex way to tell a story. You can't do that these days anymore.
Well, yeah, you can, because I think they're doing it with Trish. I think if we get a fourth season...
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
I think she's going to get her Uncle Ben. She's going, and I really wanted her to be on the Dark Avengers led by Norman Osborn, the Iron Patriot, because he wants to be the next Tony Stark, but then Sony ruined it. But enough of that. Mozz, because we got another show to do. Mozz, if people would like to reach out to you, talk to you, touch you, how can they do so?
Or they can find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor, or email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com.
Okay, and of course you can always write to me in an old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet The Good Place, which might be coming back soon. Or The Orville, which will be on Netflix, but maybe I'll figure out a way to stream it. Or when the new Disney Plus shows come out, which are going to be aired once a week rather than bingeable.
Oh.
So maybe there's a way we can live tweet the show when it drops.
Oh.
We'll see if they don't drop it at freaking midnight, which is an inconvenient time to live tweet things. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Oh, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again for the AKA JonesCast. Just know that me and Mozz, we just really want to be your friends. Good night.